In this tutorial, we're going to use the scicop G2 library to connect to Postgres. So let's install that using pip. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to open up pgadmin and we're going to create a database just to make sure that we have something to connect to. And we're going to call this database suppliers because I was working off of a tutorial and the tutorial called their database suppliers. So that's what we're going to roll with. I've got this script here that's already working, so I'm going to explain all the individual pieces of it, and then we'll wrap this up. This is an import statement. We're just going to use the library that we installed via pip earlier. Here I've got the relevant information that I need to connect to my local Postgres database. As you can see, that we have the host, the database user, and the user password. As you may recall, things can fail, and so what we're going to do here is we're going to wrap all of our relevant code inside of a try exception finally block. Next, we're going to use our library. So specifically, we're going to be using the connect method, and what the connect method does is it takes the database credentials and information, and it will return a connection object that has its own methods that we're going to call later. Next, we're going to use the connection to obtain a cursor using the cursor method. As a note, we're using the cursor object because it allows us to execute statements to the database. The connection by itself will not allow us to do that. So that's why we're using a cursor. Next, we're going to use a print statement so that we can see something in the terminal. Here we're going to select the version of the database. As you recall, we just created the database. There's nothing in there. So we're just going to select anything that we can just to show that the connection is working. Now, when you call execute and rows are returned, you can fetch them. That's how this API works, right? So we're going to use the fetch one method in order to fetch the one row that our select query gave us back. So if our query had returned multiple rows, we could continue to call fetch one, or we could use a different method like fetch all just to look at those rows that we got. And again, we'll print that out to the console. And we'll close the cursor. This is just good practice. You should close the things that you open. Now let's go over our exception block. So if we get any errors back from the API, then we're going to just print them out to the console. It's pretty standard stuff. And here we're going to close the connection to the database. And lastly, we're going to print out that we closed the connection to the database. This is just good practice, guys. Whenever you're running a script and you're trying to debug things, it helps to know how far the script made it in execution, and adding print lines like this can help you sort of see where you got to. So that's why we're doing it. Now, if you made it to this part of the video, this is a picture of my grandma's cat, so no worries about copyright there. Please remember to dislike, unsub, verbal abuse me, and then also report all my videos for inappropriateness. Thanks. Bye.